Let's go, though, to the social and political commentator, Mo Ansar. Hello, Mo. Good morning to you.
Morning, Vanessa.
What do you understand about this rather obfuscated case where nobody quite knows what's going on in any way or particular?
I think it's been a tough couple of days for women who want to be engaged in our political process. We've had UKIP leader Farage come out yesterday essentially saying that women have less value if they take a career break for having kids. And then we've seen the situation with the Liberal Democrats and Rennard, where women, I think, across the board are beginning to say, well, look, if we don't feel some kind of recompense, some kind of justice, feel accommodated, included, feel that this party is one which respects our contribution and also our role as women and creates a safe space for us in which to operate, we feel like we may have to leave this party.
I mean, some people listening who still don't really know the actual precise nature of the allegations, and we are going to speak to one of the female complainants and try to get her to say, look, what happened? What did he do to you? What do you say he did? What do you think he did? What do you remember his doing? But as we don't exactly know what these things are, and our political correspondent said basic groping, but it's groping of a fairly kind of innocuous nature, isn't it? It's like groping of the knee, groping of the leg, and not groping of the genitals. Is it as far as we know? Is it? I don't know. Do you know?
I am deeply uncomfortable with the idea of groping of an innocuous nature.
But you could say holding someone's hand is groping.
I think it's all about the context. However, I think what we need to do is, and when we talk about context, we do need to put this in its proper context. We're talking about allegations that go back to 2003 and 2004. We're not talking about 1903 and 1904, okay?
Right.
10 years ago, organisations, private institutions, private organisations, public sector, and charitable organisations would have had a very, very clear understanding of what sex discrimination is, what kind of processes you need to put in place if there are any allegations and if investigations need to be done. And now the perception, the public perception, and I think this is where the real danger for the Liberal Democrats is, we have allegations going back, over 10 years in some instances. Chris Rennard, Lord Rennard was at the time, a very, very senior and, as you said, a seminal figure as chief executive of the organisation. It almost looks as if, and I say it almost looks as if, this stuff got kicked into the long grass to protect somebody who is a very, very high level, an influential figure. Now, anybody who's ever worked in diversity and equality knows if there's any kind of allegation and any kind of complaint, first thing the Lib Dems should have done is investigate it. They should have seen if there's a case to answer. If there was a case to answer, whether it's an employee or whether it's a volunteer, you expect them to be suspended while you have a full investigation. And then they should have put this issue to... They've let it fester, and 10 years on now, it's a national scandal.
It's a scandal, but it's a peculiar scandal in that nobody really knows what's at the heart of it. What do you make of Lord Rennard saying over 2,600 words, I had no idea what I was supposed to have done. I still don't know what I meant to have done. I completely deny having done anything at all that might hurt anybody. I can't believe I could have done so. I can't apologise because I wouldn't mean what I was saying. I mean, do you think it is possible? Do you know Chris Rennard? Is it possible that he might have groped and not thought there was anything wrong with it? Is he old school? Is he sufficiently old school not to realise that you don't put your hand on the knee of somebody that you don't know who hasn't invited you to? Could it be he was acting in all innocence? Is that possible?
It is possible, but however, I think we know that the findings of the report state that these are credible allegations, or there's credible evidence, and I think the minute that we have an investigation and some findings saying, look, there is something, more significant than something which is very benign, something which is very, very small. I mean, and I pored over, Rennard's statement yesterday, and you have to feel for him. I mean, he there are claims of, thoughts of self-harm and clearly some mental health issues and anxiety issues. And I think that the questions are always going to come back to Nick Clegg and Lib Dem Central Office, which is to say that because you didn't have a clear disciplinary process in place, because you didn't take these allegations seriously at the start, you have senior members like Vince Cable, who came up last year, and he gave an interview and said that Nick Clegg and him, they had no idea about these allegations. Well, we then knew within a week of that statement being made, that they did have, or certainly Nick Clegg did have, an idea about some of these allegations. And by not having a clear disciplinary process, I mean, we've had, over the last 2 or 3 days, a PPC, a parliamentary candidate for Hampstead and Kilburn, who's been tweeting images which I think have caused massive offence to members of religious communities. And now, if the Lib Dems are going to be as weak over those kind of disciplinary issues as they have been over Chris Rennard, we just cannot have political figures going around thinking the rules do not apply to them. And it's up to the Lib Dems to have a clear process for sanctioning, suspension and an investigation. And when you don't do that, unfortunately, the politician, the public figure, they are left in this kind of no man's land where they don't know what's going on, who said what, and what the allegations are. And then, most importantly, we can't forget the victims. The victims need to have some kind of justice. And whether it's Hampstead and Kilburn, whether it's Chris Rennard, I think victims do need to have their day in court.
Mo, thank you very much indeed. Mo Ansar, social and political commentator who takes this extremely seriously.